What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Rossel and we have more Watcher of Realms for you. Today it is finally time to get into the Gear Dungeon 2 Stage 10 free-to-play comp. And I mean free-to-play. Let's get in here. Let me just call attention here. We are not going to be using Power of Dominance. This is a complete clear here. So, this is the lineup. As you can see, there's only one legendary and you are guaranteed her, so this should be very, very doable for everyone. Now, it's not for the faint of heart. This is definitely a challenge to put together. You need crazy gear, crazy artifacts, but if you are missing all of the good heroes for this, if you're missing Ardea, if you're missing Hatsut, Valeria, Hex, Nocturne even, if you're missing all of that, you can still do it. You kind of have no excuses. It can be done. It's not easy. It could take, in testing, which granted it was testing, you know, it could be hundreds of runs, but it can be done. And I've gotten this pretty well down to a science. So like I mentioned in a previous video, it basically depends on Volka's mood, but if she wants to play ball, then the rest of this can fall in line pretty well. So let's take a quick break for that intro and then get into the build. All right, so now that we got that camera out of the way here a bit, we can discuss what's going on. As you can see, we have Wrath as the first lord. He's there to boost up Volka. I did try without it. He's kind of necessary because Volka, even max skill fully built up, she does have some difficulty getting this done. And of course, Volka is going to be tackling this bottom lane here. And Borit is going to be with her. Made popular by Ronaldo, he doesn't quite do the constant juggling that Ronaldo mentioned. You'll see, either you'll see, or I remember in testing at least, I at least had higher attack speed and higher rage regen than the one that he was using, and it still wasn't constantly keeping them juggled. And of course, sometimes he'll turn around like an idiot and just launch one of the mobs that Volka's messing around with into the core. So that can be something to look out for as well. But otherwise, you know, he does his job very well. Isolde and Estrid. Estrid, of course, being the most difficult to acquire for this, but you can also replace her, you know, if you have some of the other tunes, Ardea, Hatsut. If you have those, you might not be watching this anyway, but, you know, you might just be watching this to support me, and I really appreciate that. Please leave all the YouTube stuff, the like, subscribe, the comments, share. Definitely share this one out. I know that I say that all the time, but this one, I worked quite hard on it. It's got a special place in my heart, and I hope it really helps people because say you don't have Hatsut, you don't have Ardea. I think I mentioned all of this in the beginning. This proves that it is possible, at least. You're not held back by not having any of these guys. Regardless, getting back into it here, Estrid and Isolde should be fairly self-explanatory. You are going to be letting all of these duplicators double up, come down, get blocked, and then killed. Isolde, I did have her in a lord spot before, but I needed to boost up some of the other guys. And these boosts are kind of mandatory here. I wasn't able to get it done without them. And both units are actually deployed, so all 10 units are placed onto the board. Not at the same time, obviously, but they will be. Pyros boosts the survivability of Titus and the damage of Imani, so he's pretty necessary. And sometimes Volka can struggle to kill the second gargoyle here, so he'll be used as supplementary damage. Imani is our Hex replacement, and in my testing, she is basically the only one who is able to do this. There is not a lot of single target damage, real single target damage in the epic pool. Idril obviously doesn't work because she's physical, but like Kalina I tried, you know, I tried Solil, even though she's not single target, there is a place for her, and I'll mention that during the run. there's not a lot of options. Let's actually take a look here. Because I actually did manage to fuse Micah. I tried her. She's not capable of doing it. I tried basically all of these mages, aside from Nisalt, but, you know, he's not going to do it. Azoth wasn't able to get it done, either the mage on the right or the left. I tried to soften up the mobs that come over here, the ones that are vulnerable to magic anyway. That wasn't any good. I believe they're immune to CC, so I isn't going to accomplish anything. The AoE, just to see what worked, right? Like maybe greed would have slowed them down enough. No, that didn't work. So, yeah, I tried Iona, Greed, Mari. I even had Laurel in here for a different strategy that ended up being too unit intensive. Aeon I didn't because they're immune to move resist. Kalina, Solil, Azoth, Navros, the hell is his name? Nazim, and I think that might be it. But anyway, regardless, I tried all of the options there, and Imani was the only one who could get it done. And as you'll see, I was able to adapt the strategy considering she is Imani, and it ended up working even better this way. So this is it's kind of, she's in, all of these are integral pieces really, but she's huge. And Ronaldo, of course, his substitution was Seraphina. That didn't really sit that well with me because Seraphina is a random or a legendary subject to complete randomness. You might never get her, so it's not necessarily as useful. Technically speaking, you might never get Imani, but the odds are significantly higher that you'll get her. And Titus was another Ronaldo pick actually, but he is going to be our Undying tank for this middle lane up here. And again, he's kind of the only one who can do it. I tried Baron in that slot, who's the only other Undying tank. And of course, I tried to just kill all 4 clones. And I wasn't able to get that done. Imani, for example, has the damage to kill the second magic clone, but the way the Bloodbath lines up ends up getting her killed before she's able to get it done. So we had to adapt the strategy. And like I said, I've been through many, many iterations. Hollow should be fairly self-explanatory. She has heals and rage regen, and again, kind of necessary. If you're going to sub her out with anyone, it would be Elowen, who is significantly more rare. And then, of course, for the physical damage up here in the middle lane, we have a special guest star from I. And yes, I did get his skin just for this, because he ended up working out beautifully. I had him in the lore slot as well, to boost Soleil, to boost Borat, and it really helped with Borat's survivability, for example, but I ended up needing the Lord slots, so he got demoted. But, you know, he does his job, and that's all we can ask for, really. So, some honorable mentions, like I mentioned, were Laurel, Rourke, like I mentioned, Avalon. She was my original tank for up here. I was hoping that the stuns would be able to get the job done. That did not end up materializing. Vortex was in here as a secondary healer. Baron, like I mentioned, all those mages. Esme, she was my original attempt at substituting for Hatsut. She does not have what it takes to do any real damage up there, which is really a shame. She's kind of just a trash tier unit, and she's written like she shouldn't be, so I was very disappointed in that. Gluttony, I think these clones are coded to hit fighters extremely hard, because even with tons and tons and tons of health, like for example, Gluttony and Wrath, they should have been able to block better, last longer, and they were just getting killed in like 2 swipes, so I think they're just not an option by virtue of being a fighter. Kind of like in Gear Raid 2, where the rollers, or the runners as they are now, do 80% damage to fighters regardless of how strong they are. I think it's something like that. I didn't use Scorch, but I theory crafted with him and Yankar up here, but we both know they're not going to have the damage to get it done. This part I probably should have thought out a bit more. Maul for a little bit, but that wasn't really going to work. I even tried some of these rares in the Spirit of Borit. Voltus, Rex, Dagna. Those are the big ones I can think of. Oh yeah, and what is his name? Nero. I tried him as well, but their stats are just too low to get anything done, so it really wasn't an option. So that's the lineup here. So let's get into the actual fight, and then we'll come back for the gear and the artifacts. They're very important. So let's load up, and do be patient here because, like I said, this depends on Volka's mood. I have already recorded a 3-star run, so if I'm not able to get it here, don't worry. We can just use that footage. But so actually, let me move this up here. You guys don't care about seeing me anyway. We're going to dump Volka in and immediately give her the invigoration bonus from Hollow. That's going to be important. And sometimes Borit's timing can be a little messed up, so I like to wait on him and just toss Estrid over here. And I've done this a million times, right? So I'm going to go a little bit faster until I need to concentrate, and we're going to turn on auto until a certain point, because we're going to spam most of these ults anyway. There's a little timing eventually, but here up front, we're just going to be tossing stuff out. Now here, we are going to be tossing any Isolde and facing her down. And the reason for that is, at least in my build, she also has Invigoration to boost Estrid. So we have to face her in range. See Borit launch that Gargoyle. And now, what we're going to do here is wait for this clone to roughly get in line with where Imani is going to be standing. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we're going to toss her in. And I slowed it down so that I could actually talk and play at the same time here. Normally this would still be at 2x speed, but it's probably best for me to leave it like this. And we're just going to let them kill all of these mobs. And you can see the Bloodbath does an enormous amount of damage, right? And it only gets worse as this goes on. So very shortly, there will be enough buffs piling up on that Bloodbath where no matter how many HP subs you put on her, Imani will just die. And if you put a HP bonus main, then she won't have the damage to get the kill. So we're working with epic stats. We just have to finagle it as best we can. So we have that clone killed, and we are going to wait for the Bloodbath. And you can see Volka's putting in her work down here. And look, you can see that guy almost walked through. That's what they do. Volka it's entirely dependent on whether or not she gets those Scarlet Ferments up. But we're gonna plop Titus down for that Bloodbath. And actually, I usually place him before, but again, commentary throwing me off. So we want Ainin after that Bloodbath. Turn off our auto, and go ahead and hit our Hollow. Now, depending on how Volka is handling this bottom lane, you might have Hollow up earlier. You won't have Hollow up later, but you might have Hollow up earlier. Move this down just a little bit. It doesn't matter. It's not really going to affect the run. You can see there are going to be places where, not really where we're going to be holding Hollow, but where it's just not going to have much of an impact. So immediately, as this Bloodbath starts, we're going to put Imani in place. And we're going to be watching Volka over here. And you'll be able to see right there where we want to place her. Again, this doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, but I've found these archers to be very finicky. And when you place her down, can, it's not a guarantee, affect whether or not they shoot Imani. It's not going to be a problem. If she only gets shot once, she'll be able to regenerate HP from Volka Volka's passive, you know, on hit, she regains HP. But it's gonna take a little bit longer to get that kill. Again, not a big deal, but I mean, I have OCD, so it does bother me. But we are going to be launching Imani's ultimate immediately. There we go. And she is going to just keep shooting. And you can see Imani still got hit. Now, right around when these duplicators get to this second tile here is when we're going to trigger Isolde. And we are going to wait until this clone is dead before triggering... Well, actually, we can trigger Volka down here. And you can see the run is already running into some issues. So let me quit out, pull it back up, and we'll resume from this spot here. Like I mentioned a million times, doing this while giving commentary can be a challenge. Okay, so we're about back where we were, and we're going to trigger Imani. I'm gonna pay better. Give me a second to fix this camera. Okay, I swear these technical issues are gonna be the death of me. I work in IT, and they just never stop bothering me. But hey. You know, I get enough subs, I get enough likes and comments, I can get some better equipment for this and pump out better videos. So if that's something you want, please leave all of the YouTube, what are we gonna call it? Engagement, that's what it is. Okay, so let's get back into it here. We are waiting for these mobs, Volka, Isolde. Wait for this this clone to die. Oh, and around here, sorry, without the commentary, it's perfect. You want. Like I said, depends on Volka's mood. And then there's Borit, being Borit. Just a lot of fun. Yeah, this isn't stressful at all. Nobody said that this would be easy, but oh man. Aren't we having fun? Aren't we having fun, guys? We're not even till the second half yet. And if you're wondering why I'm reloading, it's to change up the RNG. It doesn't affect everything. It doesn't seem to affect whether or not Volka gets her Scarlet Ferments, but I've noticed, and this could just be confirmation bias, I've noticed better behavior from Borit by closing all the way out and coming back in, and the archers that spawn up here. So little things that it might not be necessary, but I want every advantage that we can get. All right, as you can see, they keep going through. We're just gonna continue proceeding here to get the commentary out of the way, and then I'll just show the pre-recorded 3-star run, because that's honestly going to be a lot less time intensive. I don't have a lot of time anymore, and it might help you to just see the perfect run. Anyway, so we are going to turn off of 2x speed and continue hammering away. You can see that we have Ain doing good work down here, Volka being Volka, and everything's kind of going well. So, Ain has the damage. It can be a little bit close, but he has the damage to kill this magic clone. And this is going to be important, but once we kill the magic clone, we're going to be removing Ain. It's tempting to kill this guy down here, but we want as much rage to regen on our boy Titus as possible, which means leaving this guy, who does basically no damage anyway, alive. Let's do Hollow. Get our Volka going again. See, they're up here, so Isolde. And you may notice we're not placing Imani to try and kill this clone. It can be done. I've killed this with Imani once. I've not been able to replicate it. Usually, or previously in testing, I would kill it by tossing Imani. Imani would do about 80% of the damage, and then Pyros could come in and finish it off, which sounds great. But then you have 2 unnecessary contributions to the Bloodbath buff. So that's just more damage to deal with down the line, and that can end up killing Borid especially, but Borid, Hollow, and it just kind of snowballs from there. So instead, we're just going to be relying on Titus's unyielding, undying, whatever, and just tanking it. So we are going to wait on that a little bit. Hopefully we don't lose too much here. Estrid's going to clean up as best she can. I did trigger Hollow a little bit late, so we might have to redo this, but let's hope she can do it. There we go. And Volka is not being as dumb as before. Trigger Titus so he doesn't die. And here we have our Gargoyle. So trigger Hollow. And this is just going to take care of itself over here. Get Volka going. And then, just like Imani, as the bloodbath is starting, we toss in Pyros. And get him going. You see, he wasn't necessary that time, but I just do this always anymore. His buff for the additional 25% resistance down or something. I don't remember exactly. That definitely helps, and just the additional damage sometimes can get it done. And now we need Borit to swipe him away. You see, these guys are coming up, so it's almost time for Isolde again. There we go. Maybe wondering, when do we trigger launch Imani? It's going to be, and notice I did Estrid. We want to get as much damage in from her as possible. And again, we wait for the opportune moment from the bloodbath. And this timing's tight. And that's good. So, everything's going. We're not going to trigger Pyros' ult. He's going to swallow up Imani's damage dealing capability, and we need that. So, trigger Imani, even though the clone is going to get healed. And, you know, this is where it depends on Estrid's mood. But again, I've got the perfect clear anyway, so you'll see how it goes. But it looks like that was fine. And the second she clears up all of these mobs is when we want to recall. And right there. So Imani can get the job done. And we want to trigger Titus as soon as possible so that he doesn't get killed. And there we go. And I'm just going to leave her in there, but we'll pull back Isolde. She might be useful later. And you can see everyone just barely survived. It can be really challenging to keep everyone up. You need tons of HP subs. It's just the name of the game. It's only going to get more difficult to keep everyone alive. So hopefully we start to get some better gear sets here. But this is the last area where it depends on Volka's mood. See, we don't have to deal with the bloodbath anymore. This Volka up here is gone, the Bloodmistress. Keep everyone alive. Get the penetration going. And this clone is about to explode. Go. Toss in our Wrath. Let's throw in... No, let's help Ain over, or Ain. Let's help these guys over here. He's gonna die, it doesn't matter. Estridin and Imani, because it's the end of the fight, and we did it. We won. So sometimes this will happen. You'll see this guy comes over here. Not a big deal. We can just wait a hot second and recall Wrath. It's kind of something new that started happening. When I originally got this clear, that just wasn't happening. It doesn't really matter. And there it is. That's the clear. However you can get that last little bit at the end it's totally fine. That can be different every run, but this is how you get to it. And of course, we don't have our 3-star clear, but we do have the clear. Everything is, all the tools are right there. So let's just dump this gear. Come back and confirm that we are indeed not using Power of Dominance, right? And let's jump over to that perfect clear so you can see that it can be done 3 stars with this exact squad, this exact gear. I have them saved in the gear sets. It's the same artifacts, like all of it. It's identical. So don't be afraid of me pulling any shenanigans or anything. It's the same.
Between my family and the savannah flowers grow too bright.
It serves you, 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 it serves you right.
touch me. Don't touch me.
The inferno beats of black waters, this world shall burn!
My duty is torn between my family and the holy.
My enemy is destiny itself.
Kiss my axe. Spirit, guide me. Blessings. Oh. Fancy my dazzling axe, huh? Storm, guide me to my people. Join me in my meditation. Pull back! Pull back!
Don't touch me. Don't touch.
Destiny is a pretty line for naive souls.
This was so dark. You shall all vanish.
Vengeful will drives spirits.
Vampires deserve
Less always strikes back.
Die by my hand. A satisfactory and logical outcome.
So, you may notice a different shirt. This is a different day. I have been spending a lot of time at the hospital visiting the twins, newly born. They're in the NICU. Again, you know, they're doing all right. It's just they're preemie, so they need a bit of help. But let's get into the builds. As you can see, everything is still the same. Wrath, our lord, he could probably be a bit different. This is a bit of a holdover from when I was trying to use him to tank the physical, well, just to tank in general, really, to tank the clones. You can see he's got the skin here, plenty of HP, little bit of attack, not even caring about the crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, none of it. This is just to survive. And, you know, he holds up against the last mobs at the end, so that's really all we need him to do. And his artifact, Key of the Forsaken, this is just to give him more HP. Again, you know, it doesn't really matter. He's mostly a body with a lord skill, which is kind of all of the lords, really. Volka, well, all of the original lords, I should say. Volka is in a Soulbound. This is my best Soulbound set. This is what usually goes on Praetus. If you want to see the difference between Praetus and Volka's BP, you know, pretty significant. But here we have triple attack mains, and everything's nice and laggy again. Oh, no, this actually isn't Praetus' set. It's mostly Praetus' set, but I needed to swap some pieces around for Estrid. Regardless, this is, you know, full attack, enough HP to not be killed by the bloodbats and the mobs that like to attack her. Full crit cap, as much crit damage as I can get on her, and as much attack speed as I can get on her. This is... I tried my... Yeah, I got her all the way down to 1.2 seconds. Every last bit of it. This actually used to be an attack bonus item. You can see I definitely prioritized as much attack speed as possible. This is because, like I mentioned, everything depends on Volka's mood, and we can try to mitigate that with as much attack speed as possible. But again, as you saw, you know, it's RNG is the name of the game here. It's all based on her talent. After each basic attack, there is a 30% chance of gaining 1 stack of Scarlet Ferment. And that's basically what we're trying to do, is get as many chances at the Scarlet Ferment as possible. Because her ult is nice. Magic vulnerability, physical vulnerability. The possibility of gaining additional Scarlet Ferments. The HP restored, it keeps her alive. You know, it's nice, but really we are going for this passive, right? Is it this one? No, this one. The Midnight Requiem, when she has 5 stacks of Scarlet Ferment, each attack consumes 2 and deals that nice chonky damage. And this damage reduction doesn't really matter. We really just want that massive damage. You might have seen where it can be like 2, 3, 4 times as much as her typical basic attack. That's really what we're counting on to get this done. And as you can see, she is max skilled. I would recommend max skilling her for this. I would recommend max skilling her anyway. She's becoming a very potent unit. For example, Guild Boss 2, you can utilize her quite well. So that's what I am doing, actually. And Artifact, she has the Eye of Sin maxed out. I would recommend plus 25 artifacts for this. I spent a shitload of stamina trying to get more Eyes of Sin. If you were following on my community tab, you saw that I had a bit of a curse where I couldn't pull that last one. So I had 1 plus 25 and 1 plus 22. And now I have 2 plus 25s, and it took like 50,000 stamina to get it. Which, you know, it could certainly be worse, because I managed to get like 4 or 5 Tears of Twilight, 4 or 5 Wailing Skulls, and a bunch of other stuff. But it was quite a saga. So that's Volka there. And Borit, come on. Borit is all about getting his ultimate here. Very low cost. The next attack, we don't care about the damage. It is the knockback at 3 times strength that we care about. And that's significant, because as someone in Discord said, the gargoyle dies and gets twice as heavy. Got it. Which is kind of what happens, because a regular knockback isn't enough to push back the gargoyle. You need a 2x strength, or as we have here, 3x strength, to push it out of the way. Now, this can screw you up here. His auto, every 20 seconds, he will attack launch. Okay, I guess not. I was under the impression that this produced an additional knockback. Oh, it's his talent here. There is a 10% chance of knocking the opponent back. This is annoying. When he turns around, you know, there's the ultimate to be concerned with, but he's also could just through this knock someone into the core as well. However, this, you know, we take the good with the bad, right? This is how he consistently juggles the mobs before they get past him. So between that and his ultimate, that's how we can get away with having 5 block instead of 6, and still manage to get the clear, the 3-star clear. So the gear for that, we want as much attack speed as possible, but we can't sacrifice HP to do it. He is very, very squishy. So I would pile up as much HP as possible. You see I've got the Immortal Warrior, HP subs. My rolls have not been that great, so this is what we're stuck with. But of course, again, as much attack speed as you can get away with, and ideally as much rage regen, but I ended up going for this Tempered Will because he was dying still pretty frequently. It's not the best. I would prefer an Unshaken Will, but I only have 1 complete set. That's Google, by the way. I only have 1 complete set, and that went on Titus. So we had to make do. And attack speed is a bit more important than rage regen on him, so I decided this would be enough, and it was. And the artifact here, we're just looking for some survivability. It's not much, but every little bit helps when you're dealing with a unit with such low stats. With Isolde here, like I mentioned, she has the invigoration. That's to power up Estrid. Other than that, she just needs enough HP to not die. HP defense. The attack speed's nice, but we don't really have a problem getting to her ultimate. So none of that is really all that impactful. I tried morale. Morale is really overrated in my opinion. Like, it's great for boss fights when you're trying to get as much damage, excuse me, as much damage as possible. That can really help. It can add up over the course of the battle, especially Semra, which lasts forever. But when you need individual attacks to be impactful, you know, we were talking in my testing a difference between 300,000 and 305,000, right? Not enough to get the job done. So rather than giving a tiny boost to everyone, I gave a huge boost to Estrid, and we were able to get it done. And of course, we have the Bastion Ring on her. She needs as much block as she can get, and the damage reduction is really nice. I did also try her in the Lord spot. You can notice here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Epic Lords and 1 Rare Lord. But again, I needed these guys to be in the Lord slots in the final iteration, so she also got demoted. But she has the ability to increase not only her block, but Estrid's. Let me actually show that for those who aren't aware. What is it here? This one? We're doing it live, folks. I've memorized what they can do, but not which skill actually enables it. Bro, seriously, where is it? Oh yeah, Have I mentioned that I am being run ragged? This block increase right here on her ultimate. She gains block +1 and applies to all allies in the skills range, which applies to Estrid as well. So that's +2 block. So that is 4 + 1 is 5 on Isolde, and then 3 on Estrid. So that's 8. That is all of the replicators. So if you can deal with the clone and the archers, which is an additional 3, and the archers don't really take much, then you can trigger, spoiler, the Eye of Sin on Estrid and really just cleave straight through the replicators, and all of a sudden that block isn't necessarily that big a deal. You just need to buy enough time to snowball that. So that's what we are doing with all of this extra block. And Estrid here, Estrid is also in a Soulbound set. Estrid also has attack bonus. Basically everyone has triple attack bonus. We want to get through as much of that defense as possible. It's mandatory, especially with, again, stats these low and multipliers these low. We're dealing with epics here. Epics do not get the same treatment as legendaries. We need to maximize attack as much as possible. And of course, attack speed. We want her hitting as much as possible. We want her crit capped, and we want as much crit damage as possible. Now, there is a problem. Estrid, she has a really, really long cooldown on her ultimate, 1000. And her ultimate is required. So that's why we're relying on Hollow, but that's also why I've given her as much rage regen as I can spare. If you can get this higher, I highly recommend it. And I actually did have it higher. You can see I have this piece with a nice roll. I did have it higher. It didn't test as well, but or so I would say, 24 you can get away with, but of course more is better. But, again, as much attack as you can get away with. And like I mentioned, she has the Eye of Sin. This is going to be giving her she only does AoE damage. So this is going to give her a flat 20% increase. And every time she gets a kill, which is going to be every time she's engaging in combat, she's going to gain additional AoE damage. And that is required. That is required. A bit less on her. It's definitely required on Volka, but you can see later on where even Estrid has trouble if you don't have the stats pumped up as high. So, and of course, she also has RNG in her kit. Each basic attack has a 1 in 4 chance of triggering 2 strikes at a time. So, excuse me there. So, sometimes you get the minimum, and you need the stats to compensate for it. But her ultimate is just beautiful. She is like purpose built for this. She is a fantastic unit, and that's why she's so rare, of course. So if you don't have her, my heart goes out to you, but you will someday. Your odds of getting Estrid are still way higher than getting any particular legendary, especially Hatsud. So this is something that you can at least keep in your back pocket until you get her. Now, Pyros, as we saw, is there pretty much to power up Imani, but also to push that last gargoyle over the edge. And he also inflicts some vulnerability on those mobs at the end. He needs enough HP to survive. All of them need enough HP to survive. I don't know what that threshold is. I haven't really tried that hard to suss it out. I think if I had to guess, it would be around 30,000, but it depends on how well your holo can heal. So he doesn't have the best stuff I've got, but again, a lot of attack bonus. Again, he's not really there to put out a lot of damage, so I just kind of gave him whatever Night Terror I had that was best, because really whatever Night Terror had the HP subs, if we're being honest, and he kind of just barely survives, but it's enough to get the job done. This is sort of a holdover from testing. You don't need a Tear of Twilight on him. That was when I was trying to kill the magic clone, the second magic clone in the middle lane. Which again, it can be done, but then you have 2 extra deaths with Imani and Pyros being recalled. Recalled or killed, doesn't really matter. So, I just left it on him. You could probably get away with something else. With Imani here, kind of a star of the show, she is in Infernal Roar. Now, this is important. Soulbound does not work as well on her as Infernal Roar. I think this is a bugged interaction, and in my testing, it was a difference of like 80,000. And you might be thinking, well, did you have all 5 stacks on Soulbound? Yes, actually I did. I had all 5 stacks on Soulbound while she was deployed, and it was still about 80,000 less. Now, your mileage may vary there, but the stats were very similar. And the only thing that I can think of there is that Imani is just special when it comes to Infernal Roar, kind of like Zilla 2 either was or still is, and performs better with Infernal Roar. So that's what she's got. Again, she has all attack bonus, as much attack speed as we can get away with, and we're not really focused on HP for her because she's not out for the bloodbath. Like I mentioned before, I tried it. I wasn't able to get enough durability on her to keep her from dying. So I just went full attack, and you may notice she is not crit capped. That's just a failure of my gear. If you can crit cap her with these stats, I would highly recommend that you do so. But again, notice how much crit damage, notice how much attack speed. Those are the vital stats. If you miss 1 crit, which is kind of unlikely as it is, then yeah, you might have to restart. But there's a lot of reasons to restart this, so it was kind of low on my priority list, if we're being honest. And this variant weapon has the extra attack. That's why I ended up going with it. But it's also, it rolled really well. So all these pieces went through several iterations, right? And 92, I think, is a holdover from Soleil. I believe Soleil gets an 8% crit rate just natively, so this was kind of built for her. And then I swapped it to Amani, and it performed well enough, so we went with it. And, you know, again, plenty of attack speed. We want her throwing those fireballs as quickly as possible. And again, a plus 25 Tear of Twilight. This one actually does matter. She needs as much attack as possible. She has very, very excruciatingly low attack. So it's mandatory to have a Tear of Twilight, and preferably maxed, because as you saw, it came down to the last attack. Even with all this attack built up, it came down to the last swing for her. So you probably can't get away with anything less. Titus, our boy, like I mentioned, he has the Unshaken Will. A note about Unshaken Will is that it is a bit of a lackluster set. It is very, very good for a niche situation like this, but notice there's not any damage reduction. It is just a flat HP, a flat percentage HP increase. And every time the toon is attacked, once every 5 seconds, they recover 5%. Like it is for something like this specifically. You know, the more damage that gets done later on down the line, you know, like 80 or 100,000 damage can be reduced with Guardian or Tempered Will to like 85,000 damage. You know, that's a significant decrease. Whereas 20% HP doesn't have quite the same impact, but for something like this, you know, where it's required for him to stay alive long enough to get the hits, get procced with enough rage regen to activate his ultimate again, and get this to keep him going. You know, he doesn't have a healer, so he needs as much help as he can get to just keep going long enough to get to that ultimate. And of course, he has some rage regen. I would love to have more rage regen on him with this, but you know, the rest of these stats don't necessarily matter. The attack speed is nice, but he has, I believe, a really, really long interval anyway. Yeah, I mean, I get it down to 1.8 seconds. It is what it is, right? But he needs a shitload of HP, and preferably as much defense as you can get. That's basically what I focused on. I gave him a ton of attack speed to previously, before I actually figured out that I needed to keep that last mob alive, which it ended up being a lot more of a comfortable run once I figured that out. And to pair with that, we have the Astral Obelisk. The attack doesn't matter. The after receiving healing increases rage regen by 50% for 5 seconds. I would obviously prefer that this is just a flat 50% increase, but you know, we take what we can get, right? And that actually pairs pretty well with this Unshaken Will. You notice they're both 5 seconds, so this is basically, you know, in lockstep with each other. It is kind of a flat 50% rage regen increase, so that gets him to his ultimate. His ultimate provides healing, lots of healing, to keep him going. Again, his attack doesn't matter. We kind of don't actually want him to kill anyone. And he has his, not technically undying or unyielding, but when he receives his fatal damage, he basically screws around for 5 seconds and then revives with 100% HP. And he gains a nice fat defense increase, which can actually be significant. And his talent, like, the dude is kind of a monster. You know, he doesn't get any respect, and he's really clunky to work with, but his kit is kind of crazy. And his talent kind of brings that home for us here. He's unable to be healed by allies, which we know. For every 6 instances of damage taken, temporarily triggers the thermal barrier, which is a 30% damage reduction, and restores HP equal to 5% of max HP. So he also gets an additional 5% regen from this when the thermal barrier ends. You'll notice the 5-second increment. Like, this dude is a monster, and that's every 6 instances of damage taken. So again, we want him to be taking all of those tiny little pings because they count as damage taken. So all of a sudden, he's getting this thermal barrier kind of not quite twice as frequently, but a lot. And you see that keeps him going long enough to get that second ultimate, keeps him long enough to get that ultimate so that he can tank the last 2 clones, which Baron can't do. I'm sorry to say. I tried basically everything on my account. I couldn't get it done. I don't remember which clone he ended up dying on, but he just straight up couldn't make it to the last clone, which is why I ended up trying to kill the magic clone and just leave the physical one last, but the magic clone ended up being the problem anyway. So Titus, for this, at the very least, is just best in slot. Honestly, I like him better than even a Brokir. It's really weird to say, but that's the world we live in. And of course, he gets the bonus from Pyros. Don't leave that part out. Hollow here. Hollow is also an invigoration, also as much HP as possible. Kind of as much attack as we can get away with while still pumping up that HP and the attack speed. My rings are kind of garbage. My invigoration is kind of garbage. So I'm kind of really thrilled that I was able to get this done, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, we're well over that 30,000 threshold. As much attack as we can manage, as much attack speed to get those heals out as quick as possible. Crit rate doesn't matter. Healing effect, at least the 100 would be ideal because it has the most significant impact to the heals. But the rage regen is also pretty significant. You want to pump that up as high as possible because that's going to get you her ultimate, and her ultimate is what we are concerned with. But just to show her attack interval, she also has a ridiculous... Well, I don't have them all memorized, so I don't know how this compares to the others, but it kind of feels like a ridiculous attack interval, so the more you can get that down, the better. Her ultimate is what we're concerned with here. When triggered, increases the healing multiplier, which is really nice, to be honest, for 20 seconds, and heal 1 more target. That's really nice, to be honest. Each cast of Light of Bliss increases efficiency of accumulating rage by 15%. I have no idea what that means, to be perfectly blunt. But what we're concerned with is energetic bliss. So whenever that ult is activated, it recovers 1.4 rage for allies in range every 1 second. And that equates to kind of like the biggest increase, which is really weird. You would expect Leia to have more, but it's actually hollow. 1.4 rage every second for, remember, 20 seconds. So quick maths, 1.4 times 20 is 28% rage with every ultimate. And of course, she's also a healer, and we need our units to be kept alive. So the more frequently we can get that going, the better. Which means the Golden Scarab. More attack for better healing, and rage regen increases by 50%. This is sort of the better Astral Obelisk, but for healers. In my opinion, probably the best healing artifact because of the rage regen. I love it. It's phenomenal. It's really useful on Constance and Elowen for the Semra fight, and Pharisee too, but I only have 2 plus 25s. But that rage regen, that puts us over 100, and you can kind of feel, like, you can feel the difference. I definitely get more ults out of her this way, which only increases the consistency of the run. And consistency, stage 10 of Gear Dungeon 2 with all epics, Volka's kind of an epic. Consistency is essential to getting this done. And Ain is our last one. Ain has gone through so much. So many iterations here. From a lord and a primary dealer of both of the physical clones to really just there to deal with that one clone in the middle lane. And the gear that we have selected for that is, again, I would put him in Soulbound because he's out long enough to accumulate stacks, and as far as I know, he doesn't have a bugged interaction, but I just don't have the pieces for it. I only really have 3 good Soulbound sets. Even after all of this time, all of this farming, really just the 3, all attack Soulbound sets. Because crit damage really doesn't do us a lot of favors here. So that's going to be a problem moving forward, I think, as content requires higher and higher thresholds. We don't really have much farther we can go, really. So it's going to require attack bonus mains on everything. So every time you pull a crit damage main, it's kind of disappointing now, because it's kind of useless in any new content. Hopefully, we get some new thing that we can equip to them that would make them more relevant. But again, some HP, he is actually pretty sturdy, so we didn't need to put a lot on him. But again, crit capped, as much crit damage as possible, as much attack speed as you can get away with. But you saw he actually had a lot of time left after dealing with that clone until the next bloodbath came, so he actually doesn't need much. He's surprisingly strong. This might be because of the buff, but if I recall correctly, which, bear with me there, if I recall correctly, he was able to handle it before that buff became live to his Lord skill, which took this from, I think, 15% to 30. But of course, this is really nice. And his talent is actually relevant too, because when there is a hero in front of him, all of his attacks ignore an extra 15% of the enemy's defense. That's probably why he was doing so well. And that's probably going to make him more relevant as time goes on, as defense is so ridiculous. He could definitely use buffs to his multipliers though. These are really lackluster. But as you saw, he had one job and he was able to do it. So I'm pleased with that. And we gave him the Frigid Flame as well. You saw that he did take some damage right up front, but he really doesn't take much damage after that. So, a few seconds go by, his damage goes up. A few seconds go by, it goes up again. So it ended up being best in slot anyway. And that is our team. So I'm really happy that I was able to get this out there and to show just what is possible. At least until stage 11, stage 12, because, this was kind of a just barely thing. So we're going to need some either buffs to epics or some new epics to come out. I would really love to see that. But yeah, that was the run. So happy to finally get this out there. This has really been kind of weighing on my mind for a while. You can see, I pretty much had this done, the run mapped out at least, before Gear Dungeon ticked over, and I really wanted to get this out right after Gear Dungeon ticked over. It would have been really timely, of course, but life happened, and I had other priorities, so I'm very pleased about being able to change gears and finally be a father. These guys, they're so cute. And I feel so different and so blessed to have them in my life, and I just can't wait to see what kind of people they become. And I want to keep sharing that as well. Some of it I'll probably have to run through my wife. I'm not going to share everything, guys, so don't go too crazy there. But I'm probably going to ramble for a bit too, because like I mentioned, I've been burning the candle at both ends here. But please, all of the YouTube stuff, the likes, the comments, the shares, again, please share this one. If you share no other video of mine, please share this one, because someone could really use it, and I would really like for it to reach them. My metrics, of course, I'd love all of the subscribers and all the engagement and all that, but really what this is about is providing a truly accessible run to, as accessible as it can get, because again, the gear and the artifact requirements are insanely high, but the units are accessible. So I And if there are some substitutions, like what legendaries should I plug in to a run like this? You probably have some idea of that, but yeah, with Estrid is kind of a difficult one to replace. If you want me to weigh in, just ask in the comments, let me know. I'll be happy to share my opinion. If you have something else that you would like me to test, I don't have test server, so bear that in mind, but if you have something else that you would like to see, do please let me know. It is the only way that I will be able to potentially get that content to you. Otherwise, I just have to go with whatever I think is cool. And I want it to resonate. I want you guys to actually get something out of this experience, right? On that bombshell rather, please be sure to join the Celestials Discord, discord.gg/CLSGG. I'm there all the time, a little bit less lately, but I'll be back. Plenty of memes, plenty of strategy. Please apply to join the Celestials Arbiters if you are a big GVG monster. If we don't have room, we will definitely keep you in mind for the next time we do. And of course, if we do have room, then by all means, welcome aboard. And of course, if you are not a big GVG swinger, we have plenty of other guilds for you to join as well. And yeah, thank you guys so very much for watching this one. Like I said, it's pretty near and dear to my heart. I worked really hard on it. And if you have something else, again, that you would love to see me work really hard on, absolutely, drop me a line. So again, just thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.